Hello, everyone. My name is Martha, and I'd like to talk about something completely different, refugees. Unfortunately, we're still on this topic. But this will be more involved about when they first arrive in the U.S. So this is Mela, a refugee camp in Thailand that houses about 50,000 Burmese refugees, and more arrive each week. And some people have been here for over 20 years, which is pretty unbelievable. Of the 15.5 million refugees worldwide, less than 1% actually get resettled. The U.S. resettles more refugees each year than all other countries combined, even though the gap is closing. But with that comes a lot of responsibility. And you can see from these photographs that there's a stark difference between where they come from and where they arrive when they come to the U.S. So it goes without saying that resettlement is a very difficult process that requires a lot of support. So what happens to the lucky few that actually make it to the States? They're offered some services, including the ones you see here, such as Social Security cards, Medicaid, and food stamps. But a lot of these are very unique to the U.S., and so they're new to the refugees that come. So even in areas in which they receive help need explaining and cultural context. And yet, cultural orientation classes, which they receive in order to adjust to American life, are only 1 to 5 days. And if they have questions outside of the orientation class, even the resettlement process itself is very short, so they have limited resources in the beginning. So it's critical to use the cultural orientation efficiently. This is Naukine. When I took this picture, it was her 4th week in the U.S. and the 4th and final day of cultural orientation at the resettlement agency that she was at. These are some of the things that she needs to learn in order to be self-sufficient in the United States. A lot of these things are things that Americans take for granted. A lot of these are taught in cultural orientation classes, but how much can be retained when in a short amount of time they're taught all this information and a lot of it doesn't come with material for them to refer to later? For example, in one of the classes that I attended, 2 hours was spent on money and finances, and this was the amount of time given to the topics listed. But these are coming to people that have never even opened a bank account. And this is an example of a slide that a refugee might see if they're one of the fortunate ones that have access to a projector. And what does this look like to you? It looks confusing, right? I mean, there's a lot of information that even to Americans, it would be overwhelming. So imagine what it's like for a refugee that comes here with limited English, and it's all new information. And here's another example from the same slide deck. A lot of, every cultural orientation in the U.S. has a different system, but this is just one example. And a lot of them are pretty similar to this. And me as a graphic designer, I find this kind of like an eyesore, but even more importantly, it's ineffective. And because of that, this is where I found that this would be the most important part where I could intervene. So I decided to start in the system by improving one small aspect, the New York bus system. This is currently what refugees in New York are given as a guide to understanding the bus system, which is just the bus brochures. And even these are actually hard to come by in reality. So the solution that I propose is that the categories are broken down into simple, small parts from start to finish, so that it's not just about when the bus is coming, but also getting to the bus, knowing that it's the right bus, stopping the bus, and so on. So from there, I created culture cues, which consists of 3 parts and is mostly visual for clarity. First of all, there are slides for the cultural orientation teachers to use as a guide to guide the refugees through the different topics. And with that comes printouts to match the slides that they're given so that they can refer to them on their own time and take them home with them. They're simple and affordable for resettlement agencies, which was important to me. And all of this information is available online so that anyone can have access to this. So it can also create a community beyond the individual classes. So I'd like to take you through the printout version of the New York bus system. The goal of this was to show every step of the journey. First of all, getting directions, we all know can be pretty confusing anyways. So again, I wanted to rely mostly on visuals to make it clear. And also, once you're at the bus stop, it's important to know that you're in the right direction and you're at the right stop, and that the number that you see on there is the actual bus that you want to ride. And then from there, when a bus is coming, of course, it's important to know that this is the correct bus to get on. You might see a number and it's the wrong one, and then they'll be lost all over again. Paying for the bus, which is not intuitive even for Americans, so I wanted to show the two ways in which to pay. And lastly, stopping the bus. There are a variety of ways to do that, and it's also not very intuitive. This is Fatma, an Afghani refugee who is excited to help me with my project because he didn't understand the bus system. So it was a chance for me to use somebody to see if it actually worked, and to get feedback from him as well. And though he was able to answer the questions that I provided in order to make sure that he understood what I was sharing with him, this was the most validating thing that he could say to me. And as well, the cultural orientation teachers that I talked to, his teachers, asked if they could use the slides as well. And they also wanted these to be available for every unit that they share, every topic that they give the refugees. And I also would like there to be culture cues for every unit in order to create order in an unordered system. And also to have different languages available for refugees that might still be learning English and might need more time. And in addition, more specific locations, such as the bus system that I just showed you. And this, I believe, would create a dialogue among resettlement agencies, which they don't normally have. And it could help them create a world in which they could work together for refugees to find success, so that people such as Nakine and Fatma can be better equipped with tools to start their lives with confidence and capability. Thank you.